7 days. So fixing, we talked about it, I assume. Or it was a PR which was merged. Fixing issues OpenID. This is a merge. This is a merge that we did for triage. Fixing log typo, yes, a small one. So wrong verb. Deleted instead of added. This was in dev branch and not in 110x. Change the SummaryAdmin view to have the same new translation link as the editor view. This was a PR that we triaged last week. This, I think, we should look everywhere in the code. This is wrong. We should not use things like this. I didn't comment on the PR because it was already there before. But here it's calling ActionLink, which takes a string. And this is the text of the link that it will generate. And this text will be encoded. So if this has, because we do dot text, this will also be encoded. So there might be an issue with double encoding here. And the solution is, don't use ActionLink if we use a translated thing. Just use a link and use HTML.ActionURL to generate the URL part of the link. And then we can use the new translation directly in the text. So before, just I will do it right now, and this will be done. Otherwise, unless GitHub is down. Is it just me? Is it just me? No, maybe, I don't know, we'll see later then. This one, glimpse, was merged in dev branch. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
That was weird. I was dropped and I jumped back, but I could hear nothing.
Your screen kept showing though.
Yeah, that's weird. What did you miss? Okay, now this, maybe there was a network issue on my side then. So creating an issue.
(1,749) issues. Jesus.
Too many.
Daniel needs to get busy on those.
Yeah. You should go back to Thailand and start working again.
Oh god. See, is Sebastian's screen slow for you as well, Daniel?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, okay, same with me.
For me, it's very fast.
Yeah, but not for the rest of the world.
It's pretty okay for me.
It's a bit
Maybe
jumpy.
5 FPS or something like that. 4.
I don't type faster, so that's okay. Glimpse, remove duplicate automatic. Yes, this one. So we had a bunch of merge issues. That's weird because they should, well, the merge should show that there are some conflicts or some things, or maybe it was just me. I don't know. So this one, when we merged 110x in dev, it duplicated this line, and that was an issue. So we got a PR from EHOR.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, related to that, I would like to just that there was some discussion, like I don't know, months ago, under one of the issues. So it's entirely possible that there's a bunch of bugs that may reappear on any of the branches, basically, because merge issues. So I don't know. It's just something I wanted to mention, that if you find some strange behavior that shouldn't happen, then that's probably a merge issue. So yeah, just watch out for those links for everyone.
So Benedek fixed some unit usage in MS build scripts.
I saw something in Chris's Glimpse PR, by the way. I thought I'd mention. I saw it in the OpenID PR as well. I'd just like to remind folks that whenever you add a new module to Orchard, to remember to also add a project dependency from Orchard Web to that module. It's easy to forget. I catch them when I see them, but it doesn't hurt to a reminder, I guess.
A what dependency?
So it's like it's not a project reference, but it's something that's stored in the solution file that tells Visual Studio that before you build and run Orchard Web, you have to build these projects as well. So we have all of the modules added as project dependencies to Orchard Web, so that whenever you can open up Orchard straight from the repo, and you don't have to do a rebuild solution. You can just sort of hit F5, and because it starts Orchard Web, it'll build all the other ones as well.
Yeah, I think I remember you did that at some point for all the projects. I completely forgot about it. Okay.
Is it in the code conventions? I mean, in the documentation.
No idea.
It's nowhere. It's in his head.
Oh, we should add it to that. Okay.
So you need fixing some C#6 usage, which we can't do.
You can't use C#6?
No, you can't. Benedek is working on it. You can't. You have never been able to because of dynamic compilation. Well, it will work on your machine, but if one day a module needs to be dynamically compiled, then it won't work. So that's bad. So we do not support C#6 for now. So some people from Lambic removed some unused classes. Nothing interesting. Also fixed. So Carl fixed a merge issue. So same thing that Benedek is mentioning. I'm fixing something on the local URL for schemes, and I put some unit test. Nothing interesting. So that's it. Orchard 2. Or do we close status like we did last week? Orchard 1. Okay, yeah. So 01 release. So on Thursday we talked about the CI. This one. Did I miss something? So the CI was fixed. So like for instance, even the nightly builds, the SpecFlow test, if I show the history, can I see the history there? You see it was success, but success with 21 minutes, not just 49 seconds, because this meant it was wrong. So it worked. And then it worked again, but for 39 seconds, like it's broken again. And now it takes a long time, but it's broken since Benedek made these changes. But it's not related to his changes.
Okay.
But you know, it can't find again this library, so I don't know what's happening. So it's broken again, but the change doesn't have any relationship with this issue. So I don't know what it is. I have to check. I saw that yesterday. And if I look at the settings, or maybe the settings have changed, but nobody has access but me. So if I look into the build steps, that should work. It's MS build. This is what we fixed last week to make it work. And it's using MS build 14, so it should work. I don't know what's happening. So Benedek will check locally, and if it works, then it's an issue on the CI. We'll see. So release is we fixed the CI, so this was the last thing. We checked the last bugs. I fixed one. I closed another. So it should be done in the next days when the CI is good again. But even the let me do that. Even this one is fixed. Well, oh crap. It was fixed. There should be artifacts here because this is where we'll take the release from, the artifacts that are generated from the CI. That should be good. We'll see. So very soon. Release 1.10.2. And as soon as I have the bits that work correctly, I will release everything. It should take a day after that, or half a day, to fix to do the paper. Demos. This is also one demos. So this is that video. Let me see that. First is there sound. Let me check if there is sound. There is no sound. So this is to let me pause that. Let me pause that. It's 1 minute. So the idea is to be able to select which kind of forms can be exported in the export screen. Okay, and there is a PR for that, and I wanted to see a demo before accepting the PR. So this will be quick. 1 second. Sorry, 1 minute. So import, export settings, form submissions, and now there are options, and you can select which forms you want to export. Export, and that works. Everything here. And I assume yes if you select only one. Only one. Yes, this we assume it works.
Nice pull request with a video in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good for me. The only comment maybe will be the styling of the table. Maybe I'm nitpicking.
I was thinking the same, actually. There's a spacing problem with it.
Yes, and I think there are examples of tables in this screen somewhere, so it should.
Under content and content definition, there's a similar one.
Okay, so I will put the comment. Content definition, and we have the link to the request. Chrome. I can close this window, leave this page. Comment. So that's good. Orchard 2. I will connect on the other machine. Welcome other user. Oh. So that's it. So last week I showed the flows module, and after a week of very harsh reviews on the PR was merged. So that's in master, and now I will show you the layers module. The layers module, which is the replacement of the widgets module. But I think this is not what will ship, or maybe we'll see. I will ask you some questions. I'm not really happy with what I have. I'm really happy, but I think we could be happier. so many modules. There are 100 projects in the solution right now.
Wow.
And by the way, is this one? By the way, I have created a branch which I pushed 10 minutes ago with start of migrating to Visual Studio 2017, which means using CSproj instead of project.json and xproj files. So everything compiles, all the projects are there. It doesn't work because it can't find the modules where it was expecting them to be, or copying them to the probing folder doesn't work. So I will ping Jean-Thierry unless Nick has nothing to do and want to take a shot at it.
Okay, so did you get a newer build of VS 2017 finally?
Well, there are newer builds. The latest, I think, what's the latest public one? Is it RC2?
There's one. There's been like 2 micro updates past RC, I think.
Yes. So whatever. I think I don't have the public one. I have a private one. But still not the RTM one. It's also an RC. It's based on the RC, but I use the latest private one from internally. But it should be the same. It's just the only difference is just fixing bugs in Visual Studio. It's the same for building Orchard. So I started with it just to give feedback to the Visual Studio team if there are any issues with Orchard. So I found issues with the migration path because we have weird things. For instance, when we had the project.json references to packages, it will look for Visual Studio, when it migrates, will look for the project in the same folder as the project itself. And our modules reference some projects which are in other folders, and it could not find them. So it thought that they would be packages. So it was creating a package reference instead of project reference. So I fixed them manually. But now the solution works very well. And it's a lot quicker actually than VS 2015. And even at build time, at typing, and it's snappier. And but it doesn't work because of our code.
Could you push it? What do you mean it doesn't?
It's pushed.
It doesn't work because of our code.
Run it well. It compiles, it runs, but it doesn't find the modules. So there is a 404. So somewhere in our code, we need to change something to look for, because the binaries are not compiled like with the project.json now. They are compiled in a bit debug like it used to be in VS with the old version of the .NET framework. So it's changing. We knew about it. Dynamic compilation and dynamic loading of module is broken. But it should be easy because I debugged a little and it could find all the modules, the locations. It just could not load the assemblies or to copy them in the correct folder. So that should be easy. Yeah.
So we're doing project references now rather than NuGet package references.
Now the two of them.
But why do we need project references? Can we not just use package references?
Wait. Yes, we could if we had packages. But no, it's a hard question. So these projects here, okay, they are referenced by our modules.
Yes.
So why would we could have a package reference if these projects were on a package on a NuGet gallery. But when we develop as core developers, we don't want to develop against public compiled packages. We want to develop against local source code because we want to change the source code.
But Visual Studio says that because that project exists within your solution, it will use the local project before. So they changed that.
Yes.
What a bunch of...
No, it's just, it's not project.json anymore. There is no global JSON anymore where you can say that. So I will remove this file and so on.
So, out of interest, the global JSON... So, if I want to reference another set of packages, like if I wanted to reference ASP.NET MVC code, and before I used to do it in the global JSON file...
Yeah, now you will just reference the project also, I assume. I will ask for confirmation, but I will imagine that you can still reference the project if you are it locally, directly. I will ask. That's a good question, actually. How does it work with automatic finding the local project instead of the package? If you want to do
that was a really big thing.
But at the same time, I never really used it. It was lots of pain sometimes. So we'll see. So the LG26 Colt is in sale, so we should buy it. I will just quit. We are looking for appliances, my wife tells me, so sorry.
I
will ask.
So Was there no distinction between a project reference and a package reference in the
Nope.
project JSON model?
Correct.
It was so beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yes, but at the same time, when there is ambiguity and when it can, there were also issues. It was not really reliable. So
it was reliable. We never had issues with it. The only problem we had was with sometimes we're restoring packages.
Yes, but the issue is that if it was like, for instance, sometimes I had to include YesSQL as a project instead of as a package. So I will add in the global JSON, you will just add the location with src/YesSQL, and automatically Visual Studio would include the project in your solution, reference that instead. But sometimes when I then remove that, it will not remove them from the solution.
Yeah.
And
okay,
I had to fix the solution. You know, these kind of things, that's...
But those are small things that they could have fixed.
Now it's deterministic, so no more issues.
It's yeah. All right.
It's explicit reference, so you know where you want to look for the thing. I will ask the question if this is still a supported scenario, because this is important, as you said, for these kind of things. The core packages, maybe we don't want them in the solution. Maybe we'll have different projects. I don't know, different solutions. We'll see.
And when we build all these projects, will they all turn into NuGet packages like before?
Only if you publish them or pack them.
Okay. So
Like
we can still do .NET Pack, and it will turn
Yes.
all our core stuff into NuGet packages. Yeah?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, if you have well, yeah, you don't even need a NuSpec file in the project these days.
Nope.
You can bake all of that into the CS project, I think.
Yes, let me show you if you want to see that. So I created a folder.
Okay.
So if I go to take a project, a module here, like Lucene, and I open the CS proj. Oh, by the way, you can open it directly in Visual Studio now. Right-click, edit CS proj file, and it works.
It doesn't reload Visual Studio, does it?
No.
Every time we modify a CS proj file.
So you see in the CS proj now you have the metadata for the packaging if you want. So you have the version and things like this. And you see now there is a project reference to the core abstractions and implementations that we need, and also package references for everything which is on a gallery. Okay.
So if I want to update all the versions of Lucene.core, I want to search for all the versions of Lucene.core that we have in our project, right? In Visual Studio. Before I would look in all star.json files for Lucene.net.core, for example, and it would tell me all the versions, and I can just blanket update them. How can we do that now?
Well, I assume you can look into CS proj files for that and update them.
Well, couldn't you just use the NuGet Package Manager UI, the Updates tab?
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. I guess we can do that. Okay, that's cool. It wasn't working for the Project JSON stuff.
And when you are in Visual Studio, there are the two folders, like one for in the dependencies graph, there is NuGet and there is projects. So you also see the distinction. You do add reference, and then you can select if it's a NuGet or a project, and then they are separated in the UI. That it works well. You'll see trait. Download the latest available release, RC, and trait. So let me compile this thing and start it, because it's about the layers module. Well, I haven't tried it for a few days, since Thursday maybe. I hope it still works. It took me maybe a little bit more than 1 day to do that, because I had the flows module. But I'm not sure this is what let me show you. So I will just create a new tenant, because in this new tenant I've updated the recipe to support the widgets also, and it will create widgets. I want to show you. So name, what do I have here? 69. I will not create log 70. So I create a tenant. I go to this tenant, which shows me the setup screen. I give it a name. I use the blog recipe, which enables the widgets. I will use a table prefix. Create an account. Finish it up. It took 1 second to set up a blog with content with widgets, because this is a widget. There will be some changes, Antoine gives some feedback, but this is a blog. It has a blog post, it has a menu with 2 items. This is not a widget. This is a widget. And if I go to the admin, and now I go to content items, there is something like last time, main menu, blog, about, and now there is something else which is global widgets. Global widgets is a content item of type layer. Okay, so in this model, which we can talk about and argue, is a layer is a content item which can be draftable, okay, if you want. I'm not sure this is the case right now, I assume. And a layer is a content item containing widgets, like a flow page is containing widgets, like I showed you last week. It contains, as in it owns the widgets. Okay, so when I load the layer called global widgets, I will also load with the same object all the widgets inside. So if I edit this thing, it has a title and it has a rule. Okay, this is the title part and this is the inner layer part. It has also a set of zones which work the same as the flow editor with the add widget button and the insert widget. Okay, so every section here, like content, footer, every zone is like a mini flow editor for this current content item, which is a layer. Okay, and I'm reusing most of the code from the flow. Well, I duplicated most of the code because there are some differences, but that's almost the same thing. We could refactor to reuse, but I'm not sure right now. You see, I can save a draft or publish the layer, and this widget is a raw HTML widget. And when I expand it, you see it's just raw HTML, which represents the little icons at the bottom of the home page, or any page actually, because this layer says true for the rule. So every page will get in the footer zone the raw HTML thing. So if I go back to the site, it's obvious. If I go to this page, I have that. If I click on the blog post, I also have it, okay, because it's all the pages and the zone footer. If I look at the HTML, because it's also important to see what it's rendering for widget in so this is the footer zone, which contains a container, class raw, and this is my HTML. So this thing, container and raw, is generated by the zone, by the container of the widgets. Okay, Bootstrap, and it's customized in the theme. So that's it, that works. Something interesting is that I can obviously add something more. Let's see if it works. If I add here a paragraph, a blog quote, a paragraph, I won't click preview because it doesn't work. It could work, but it doesn't work yet. So I can say lorem ipsum. I can publish. I see my paragraph there. So if I go there at the bottom, okay, this is a bug that Antoine reported. It was working, but the cache now is kicking in and doesn't work anymore. So I must have broken that. Crap. Either that or the other bug I fixed after that. This is sad. Let me save a draft and publish it. Maybe that's it. No, there is a caching issue here I need to fix.
But we get the idea.
Thank you. You can also move widgets from one zone to the other. Something you had to edit the widget before. Reordered this way, so that's very useful. Okay. You can delete them, like in the flows. You can draft and then publish everything. And what else? Change the rule. So the rule is exactly like in Orchard 1. I already created a few helpers which are in the layers module, I assume. Default layer method provider using the scripting engine that is another module. And you see here is on page, is anonymous, is authenticated. Okay, so I can do is on page like this, true, and is homepage. Whatever, it's wrong, but you get the idea. Okay, is on page, is authenticated, and this is JavaScript. So you can do if is homepage and I don't know, new date dot year, something like that, greater than, you could do something like this. This is JavaScript. You can do whatever you want. Okay. That's it. So the issues. You can create more layers. There are two issues here. You can, well, two things to talk about. You can create more layers by saying new layer. Okay, and you call it maybe widgets in the blogs section. Why not? Or widgets in the sidebar, whatever you want. You call them whatever you want. I don't want them to be typed with the rule that they represent. They can just also be what they are. And you reuse the same rule for different layers. First issue is that layers are evaluated in the order of a property they have, which is order. I'm not showing it right now, and this is a limitation. So we need to be able to order layers, because in this model, which is different than Orchard 1, if you add something in the footer for different layers, the order where the layers will be evaluated is important to know which widget will be rendered before or after. Okay, so it's okay, I think, in terms of what you can do. You can do everything, because you can just create a new layer and insert it between two other if you want a widget to be inserted between two other widgets. I think it's also simple because usually you don't have that many layers, and you don't want to represent maybe layers based on the rule, but maybe based on what the layers contain. Also, we should have less widgets than what we use in Orchard 1 because of the flow module, which will help into organizing things, and also the flow part or layer part, whatever it's called, that we can attach to a content item. Because people will create a lot of layers just for some simple content items also before, like the home page or the about page or things like this. So I think that won't be an issue. But yeah, there is the order of the layers which is not represented right now, and it's missing. It's missing. So I was thinking about having some settings, because right now there are some settings for layers. I will show you. Settings or a specific page to just show layers and order them. But when we are in the content items section here, we can't order them. So we need a special thing for layers. So that's the first issue, and I might have a solution. Second thing is, if I go to the settings for layers, available zones for layers, I put here the list of zones that will show up in the layers editor. And I do that because in Orchard 1, what we do is we get the ones from the theme which is selected in the settings. Okay, and I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong because we have a theme selector which can take the theme from any condition, like from the settings for sure, but also from the current time, from any constraint you want. So from the admin, we don't know what theme will be used in the front end. We have a hint, which is the site settings, but we are not sure it will be this one. Maybe there will be another one, or maybe there are, I don't know, based on the base themes it will change also, because if you have base theme with some other zones, we need to take them into account. So it's hard to get the current theme to know the zones. Also, it's not because you found the theme and you think this is a theme that you want to show all the zones which are defined in the theme to the widget editor. Maybe you just want in a layer to be able to change the footer and the content or the sidebar and not the navigation and not the header and not the whatever, all the zones which are available. And are used for just the layout, and you don't want to show that for the widget editor. So I think this way we can select which zone we want to show. And it's not even hard to do that. So even if you don't like the idea of being able to change it, well, adding a text here to change the widgets is easier. And you can even, nice thing also is that you can even create one which will be called, I don't know, super zone, for instance. So this will show up as super zone, and this will be added in the content, well, in the layout zone called super zone. So you can even do some tricks in your theme by getting a fake zone with custom widgets that you want to reuse somewhere. So it could be kind of a container for based on widgets. So I don't know, you can also do the tricks like this. So that's how it works. Also, a big change from 01 is that because the widgets here are held in a common content item, if you think about localization, you have to localize the global widgets now. So you will localize this content item. And when you edit the localized version, you can have different widgets, which can be interesting. You can also reorder things. You can change their text for sure, but you can have different zones, for instance, on different locals and different widgets. So that might be something interesting. At the same time, that might be cumbersome if you just want to change widgets one by one. So I'm not sure about the pros and cons here. There are both.
A suggestion here, maybe it could be a setting that if you have a container that you're rendering with a certain language culture like French, and if this container like this global widget is rendering different widgets, then those widgets could be substituted with the French version if there's one.
No.
Is that a problem, or?
It's the problem, because I don't want to have localization work differently for widgets. It should work like for every content item. And widget in this case is a content item, but it's not exposed as a content item, because it's just a property. The content of this widget is just a property of the layer content item. But you can also have global content items and reference them in your layer. So in this case, when this reference to the global content item will be rendered, it could look for the culture, the translation of the content item it's referencing. This will be doable in this case. So we can still have a solution to that. But I have another alternative for the widgets module. So this is a model, and the other model I would like to expose is the Orchard one model. So the advantage with this new model here, in terms of perf, it's great because we can load the layer and keep it in memory, and we don't have any request to do. We just, like, let's say I have 5 layers, I will have 5 content items in memory containing lots of JSON probably if you have widgets, but that's fine, they are in memory, they are loaded only once. And when the cache is not broken, then there is no request at all, because the content item layer is loaded in memory, is cached in memory. And when we change a layer and we publish it, we just invalidate all the layers and reload them the next time. Okay, so that's very efficient in terms of perf. So that's one thing. But now, if we go back to the Orchard 1 model, every widget is actually a global widget. Okay, and we don't have the notion of layer as a content item. It's just an object containing a rule and an order, so it doesn't have to be a content item, it doesn't have to be drafted, version or whatever, it's just a descriptor of rules. The widgets themselves will be the content items and will be drafted and localized and be placed on a layer, which means you can't place them again then in different layers. Yeah,
Two concerns with this new model. I really like the simplicity of it, that it integrates so neatly and organically with kind of the content management model. I like that the layers are content items themselves, so they can be versioned and drafted. But what seems to be missing is kind of the overview. Maybe that's not a conflict. Maybe you could structure it this way from a storage perspective and still have an additional bit of UI on top of it where you could see all of the layers and all of the widgets at once. That's an advantage, I think, of the Orchard One way of doing it.
And this is why and in my alternate solution, not this one, but the one I think we should go to, is like in Orchard One, have a single UI, okay, showing all the layers at the same time in the top right, like we have to, not in the drop down, but showing them, okay, we show them. And we can create new layers and have rules, and maybe we don't call them layers but rules, I don't know. And then we have all the zones like this UI, content, footer, and everything, and we can create widgets like this and insert before, after every time, okay? And from the Chrome here, we could give the title, the layers it's rendered with, and maybe multiple layers. Why not?
Sure.
And also some CSS classes, like I want to add custom classes, and maybe this is extensible. Why not also?
Yeah. But the point being that it's one UI that is kind of the intersection between both the zones and the layers. That you don't just see one of them.
Yes, you see both. I agree. We have one UI, if that's what you mean.
The other issue with this model is that you can't interleave different widgets from widgets from different layers can't be interleaved in the same zone. They will all kind of be grouped together.
Yes, so you mean the model I'm showing right now, and the one I think we should have, like in O1, is, and this is what I'm trying to explain also. If we have the O1 model, yes, we can, even from different layers, when they might be true at the same time, reorder widgets between them. So
within the same zone, yeah.
Yes. So this is important, I think, also.
I agree.
But then at this time, if we change it back to 1, and that's not maybe an issue, widgets content items for the layers are not owned by the layers. They are independent content items, global content items. Okay?
Yes.
In terms of perf, that's not as good as having a layer containing all the content items, because it's not just one content item one record to load, it's many records to load. But at the same time, I was thinking, yes, we cache the layers. Well, we can cache the widgets too, and that's the same thing.
But why couldn't the layers own and contain the widgets, even though you show them all in the same UI and you can intermingle them?
Well, I'm trying to also think not just about the UI, but also the content management, because the fact that the widgets are independent is much easier in terms of extensibility of the parts and everything, and localization. So when I want to localize a widget, I localize a widget. I don't localize a layer and all its widgets. I'm afraid that will be an issue later, the localization. And if we go to a global content item for widgets using layers, I was thinking about performance, but again, if we let's cache the widgets which are from layers and done.
The other bit of feedback I had was on the settings. You showed how you can configure the editable zones from a settings. It was just a text box. I was thinking, I mean, it's true that we have the theme selector concept, but the theme selector can really only select from the themes that you have enabled in your tenant, correct? Mm-hmm. Or in your site.
Yeah.
So what if we harvest all of the zones from all of the enabled themes, and we let you pick which ones you want to be able to place widgets in,
and also the
by
order.
Using checkboxes.
Yeah, and also the order. Like you checkbox them and you reorder them to show them in different orders, in a different order there. That, at the same time, you won't be able to create a fake zone then, right?
Oh, you could add an additional one in addition to the checkboxes. It's not impossible.
Not impossible. Then it's not. Yeah. That's hard then to keep track of the ones which have been added dynamically and the ones provided by the theme. And then you disable a theme and you still have widgets in the zones from the old theme. So it's a lot of issues. Maybe we still have...
That's true today if you change the theme.
Right. Yeah, well, at first we could just show the ones from the themes and the ones which are also used.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because
I don't think it's good for a site editor to be able to just magically know what zones the themes might support.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we should harvest them in some way.
So a side issue also is that if I take a widget which is inside the flow, it has some custom properties. It's a flow part, but it's not exposed in the editor. It's exposed in the Chrome of the container of the flow. Same thing for widgets in layers. Widgets in layers are also widgets like flows, but they will have a title, an optional title, or they will have a title. Let's say this isn't the case right now because because when we place widgets, we usually want also to have a title of the thing, like taking a blog. This is a widget. Okay, archive is a widget, but this thing is a title, and it might be a property of a widget, but in the context of the layers and not the flow. Like if I use an archive widget in my flow, maybe I don't want a title. So the title and the CSS from, I don't know, is it a global concept? I'm not sure. So yeah, there will be properties. There will be properties on the widget specific to layers that will only show up in this editor. And when the layer, so that's okay. That won't be an issue. Okay. So there will be more controls here, like render the title of the section, add some custom CSS because it's something that everyone does for the widgets. There might be also a custom name like we have in O1, so we can generate an ID or another class for that, or do we don't care? And yeah, if we have a name also for the widget, it's nice because, and maybe that's I don't know, maybe that's something we don't want by default, but optionally on specific widget types, because we could have aliases, and from layouts we could render them by alias. So that's also something. But yeah, I think I will. Okay, well, Daniel exposed his idea. Does anyone have other opinions? That we should. I will change it like it was in Orchard 1. The same UI I have with the flows, like you can add widgets and insert things like this, same thing, but the data model using this being the same as Orchard 1. I'm not sure I want to display widgets in the content items here because I don't know. Like if we add a widget from here, and same thing for the editor. Is it an inline editor like this? Because it works, we can inline edit all the things here. Or should it be a different page for editing the items and just show the Chrome like in Orchard 1? I kind of like the inline editor, but I don't know, maybe when we have lots of widgets we don't like it. What do you think? Nobody thinks.
Yeah, maybe inline. I prefer inline. Oh yeah, Daniel says the same thing.
Inline. The preview will work also at some point. Because
that's a good point, actually. George mentioned, how does performance degrade as you add widgets? Does the performance degrade as we add widgets?
For sure.
Orchard 2.
Yes. Why? But
how bad does it degrade? Is it anywhere near?
No, it's unperceivable. Because so right now, so there are two models. This one and the Orchard 1 model. Okay, that I think will change too. So this one right now degrades based. What's expensive to render widgets? It's loading them and rendering them. Okay, loading them in Orchard 2 as of today, there is one query at startup to load as many content items as there are layers, which is very few. So for instance, I have one layer here. Let's say we have 3 layers. On the startup, it will do one simple query filtering by give me all the layers. It's 3 records, okay, just 3 records because there are 3 layers, and these records are deserialized into object graphs and done. It will do another query only if you change the layer content item, okay, because I cache it right now. I cache the content item, okay, because it makes sense. They don't vary a lot, and when they vary, we can invalidate them, okay. And they are not so many. It's not like I won't cache all the content items of database, but some specific sets that we know are the cardinality is very low, then we can cache them. So layers are a very good example. And then, so it's the request, then it's a one-shot cost. And then on rendering, there is a cost also based on the number of widgets inside layers, because every time there is a content item, we need to call build display. So we need to build a display. So we build the shapes and then render the shapes and render the HTML. So this is some cost. But this is very fast. We can do that hundreds of thousands of times per second. Okay, because it's just executing some C# code. It's just concatenating strings. So it's very fast. And I did some tests. Yes, it's slower than without widgets, but it's not that much slower. It's still very, very fast. So I'm not afraid of that. And we won't have that many widgets on a page because we just run. You only have to pay the price for the cost of the page that you render here, the widgets that you render.
We haven't really done any performance testing on anything.
Yes.
Well, sorry, any performance tuning on anything yet. So.
We have some gains to do, and we are there are some gains to be given, but so there is something that can be expensive. This thing, the rule here, I didn't think about it actually. I did some perf benchmark before doing that, and on my machine, it depends on the complexity of the query, but anything you can have in a rule that I could imagine. I was able to have 100,000 requests 100,000 evaluations per second. Okay, which means it won't be a bottleneck for rendering pages, because if today we are at 4,000 requests per second, this thing being at 100,000 requests per second or evaluations per second won't be a bottleneck. It will.
What's the O1? What's the O1 equivalent? How fast is that?
No, O1, it's not even comparable. In Orchard 1, I have 40 requests per second all over. And we have 400 requests per second on my machine if we have the cache, the output cache. Okay, so here we are something like 10 times faster than O1, even without cache, but we have already talked about it. So I'm not afraid of that. But yeah, for the widgets, it's important. So it's not the number of widgets, it's the number of rules. And here,
how much does it vary by the complexity of the rule? Because I would imagine that true is pretty fast, while if you call out to something else, it's maybe slower.
So I compared with that. So some of you know that it's based on Gint, and the test I did was benchmark. You can run this tool on your machine if you want, benchmark, and I look at that. This runs let's say 1,000 times per second. This test, and this test is doing a Fibonacci call, and also throwing exceptions and recursion because it's Fibonacci. And so I used this script, and it was already very fast. And then I tried with things with logical operators and function evaluation for the his page and so on, and it was like 100,000 requests per second. We should try with very specific examples maybe, but I found out that it was definitely not a bottleneck for rendering them. So run this code if you want with some rules that you want to evaluate. And also the rule itself is in C#, so it's just finding the method. Like there is no computation which isn't in JavaScript, like in this case, because it's just evaluating these methods, calling this lambda. So we are just registering a method name. So the parsing and the evaluation is very quick. And we can also, even if we want, we can even cache the parsing to just evaluate the tree dynamically. It will be even faster. So this is not an issue, I think. Most of the performance hits that we have in the websites is from the database. So as long as we can cache the widgets or the layers, we are very fine. If I don't see the chat, so if you have questions, please expose them out loud. Yeah, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Sergio mentions, how do you set a widget in a layer that has to be rendered before another one in another layer in the same zone?
That's what I was talking about with Daniel. It's the fact that I don't want to use this model anymore. It's done, it works, but I don't like it. I see too much.
Okay.
We'll use the Orchard one model. So we show all the zones, all the widgets for all the layers of all the zones, and we can reorder them, like in Orchard one.
There you go, Sergio.
And you see here, you see in the preview, there is no content because there is no page, but because the rule is true and not his home page, because if it was his home page, we wouldn't see the layers, the rules here, because this thing is not the home page. But true evaluates to true, so we can see the widgets rendering in the zone. So we need to find a trick so when we render that, we tell the server that, hey, it's render all layers, or the ones which are picked, selected, so we could have a result here.
Okay.
I think that's also very good to be able to see the widgets and look at that. I'm sure it will work because that's awesome. It doesn't work, but when it works, it will be awesome. I mean, what's happening? Or caching also. That's the same caching issue because it's also caching on this thing. Oh my god! But imagine you will edit your widgets and you will see the result in your. It's also great, I think.
One thing I've noticed is that on our admin menu we are missing icons. Do you want to add some in? Yeah. Okay, fine.
All the icons that we define are there, so we don't want to add more.
No, that's fine.
Okay, let's finish with that because we have other topics. Feel free to comment on the issue or Skype me if you have ideas.
You answered all the questions that were in the chat. I read them all out.
Layer rules, yeah, I see. The layer rules are expensive to evaluate. I don't think so. I will do some specific tests, but I don't think so.
In Orchard 1, they were expensive. So
which is weird because my new script should be more expensive than the one in Orchard 1. I don't know. That's weird. We can check. We should check. Still, we should check with actual data and see. So Harvest latest news. I did some communication efforts, so I contacted the local developer groups, all.NET and .NET groups there. There is communication with them. What else? Yes, guys, I sent a tweet saying who wants shirts for your colleagues, and only Lombik wants shirts, free shirts.
I'll take some home. I just haven't replied to you.
Then if you don't reply to me when I say reply to me, or you won't get anything.
I only just got the internet installed.
I can't guess how many
I don't even have Twitter.
Yeah, I sent you a link on Skype, dude.
You did?
If you want to bring back some shirts from the Orchard conference to your colleagues, send me quantity, sizes. Okay?
Dude, I don't remember that.
Well, maybe not you, but I'm almost sure. Even Sergio, I know. So I did with all the companies I know who come. Sergio, IDFavorable, One Stop, Lombik, who else? And Beat Gaming. And only Benedek came back to me with some numbers. So.
Can we still place an order?
Yes, before this afternoon.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have the ones from the conference that you have the ticket for. But if you want to bring back some, let me know because I will order more. Okay, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. Done. Other subject. NuGet. Daniel, your topic.
We are 10 minutes over time. It's not urgent. Okay, all right. Quickly then, the background of it is so when we did the migration to NuGet Packages from the lib folder in Orchard, then there were some packages that we couldn't take straight off of NuGet.org. One of them being the NuGet libraries themselves. So what Rob did, he took that extremely old version of the NuGet DLL that we were using, and he packaged it into an Orchard-specific NuGet package, and he placed it on NuGet.org. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're getting it from. But because we're using such an old version, it has some issues, particularly that it doesn't handle some of the newer package schemas that are produced now if you use newer version of the packaging tools, and if you have an existing package on NuGet.org, if you go in and edit it, like edit the metadata or add a release note or anything like that, then the schema of the package will get updated to a version that the old client doesn't support. So if you try to install it into Orchard, it just fails. So for that reason, I've been trying to update Orchard to, a latest version, basically, of the official supported NuGet client library directly from NuGet.org. And I have that working, except that it doesn't play well with the gallery. So I was kind of just wondering, for Orchard 1.11 or Orchard Core, why don't we bypass the gallery and just have it, if you go to the gallery tab in Orchard, why don't we just load packages straight from NuGet.org and filter them on like a predefined tag that we might decide? Like if the tag contains Orchard module or Orchard theme, then we show them in the gallery. Because all modules need to be stored in NuGet.org anyway. That's kind of where we store the packages. And the gallery itself is kind of just a front end.
Why do you say they have to be stored in NuGet.org anyway?
Yeah, when you create a package version.
Not in NuGet.org, in our gallery.
We don't need a new gallery. We don't need to put Orchard 2 on our gallery because our gallery would be pointless. We might as well just upload all our stuff to NuGet because they're all going to be package releases regardless.
Not talking about Orchard 2. I just want to answer Daniel's comment. Daniel is not talking about Orchard 2 either. Okay, we are not talking about Orchard 2. No.
You said Orchard Core.
I kind of was, but also for Orchard 1.11.
So what sorry, I was thinking in Orchard 1 terms then. So yes, for Orchard 2 we can do anything we want. We can just use NuGet.org. Right.
Okay. All right.
For Orchard 1.
So why can't we do that for 1.11?
For 1.11 we can't.
Why?
Because we will have 2 locations for packages.
Well, it's my understanding that whenever you put a module on Orchard Gallery, you also put it on NuGet.org.
No,
right?
No, and that's why I'm saying no. There is no NuGet.org in the story here, not at all.
But that's what we do for all of our modules. We put them in.
Good job.
We put them in Orchard Gallery.
That's
and then for the package location, we just link it to NuGet.org. Doesn't everyone do that?
No.
That's actually nice of you, but yeah.
Nobody does that.
But when you upload to the gallery, it has its separate storage.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually nice of you because it makes it easier for other developers to use your modules.
Yeah, totally. That's the idea. I thought everyone.
That's really nice of you.
So the Orchard Gallery isn't actually downloading it from that location. I think when we go to the Orchard Gallery admin mode, we specify the NuGet URL. I thought it was being downloaded from
the NuGet package name
place.
And that's no.
Really?
I
so
know.
where does everyone else put their packages? In like blob storage in the gallery site?
But you. Oh, sorry. Now I see what you mean. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, I see what you mean. So the package itself, the binaries. Okay, you can put it wherever you want, and it will download from the location you define. So yes, you can use NuGet.org if you want, but it can be a blob storage, it can be Dropbox, it can be Git, Hub, it can be anything. Yes, that's the. I forgot about it. Sorry, and I wrote both galleries.
Okay, I get it.
But no, NuGet.org. Yeah.
But so if we do that for 1.11, that we change it so that it doesn't go to Orchard Gallery, just go straight to NuGet, would that be? Yeah, okay. So because we would be forcing everyone to put their packages on NuGet.org, right?
So we can do it for Orchard Core.
Yep. So for Orchard 1.11, then we just need to change the gallery so that it works with the new client somehow.
Correct.
Hard because the version 3 API is not even documented.
Yes. Or the version 2, by the way, because I discovered about the version 3. Or maybe I was.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Because it's a very new one. Yeah.
So you basically have to sit there with like Ethereal or Fiddler and try to reverse engineer what the client is trying to do.
Technically it's kind of simple. There are 3 types of JSON documents. The first one is just describing the APIs. The second one is just a meta list dictionary of all the packages. And the third one is the package itself. But it's using the weird JSON. What's the name of this thing? JSON.
Yeah, the manifest index.json. Right?
They are also using something like JSON something, a technology that the RDF for JSON RDF maybe it's called. I don't remember, and that's very hard.
Yeah, and then the other issue, even if we make it, can we make the current gallery so that it's compatible with both the new and the old clients?
Definitely.
You're sure of that? Okay.
Because the gallery itself just exposes APIs. That's it. We have 2 API endpoints, and that's all. It doesn't care about which clients. It just accepts API endpoints to search, to query. That's all it does, the gallery.
Yeah, so we could provide the new one under different routes.
Yep. And that's what the index.json does, expose which routes it supports and which API versions. And also because the gallery doesn't support upload and the NuGet client for uploading things. That's a limitation, so you use the UI instead. So that should not be that hard. But the new client doesn't support the old API?
Doesn't seem that way, no. It queries the manifest, which is XML based in our version of the shim, and then the client just doesn't know what to do with it, so it doesn't proceed. And it just returns.
Well, when you say it doesn't seem so...
it's my assumption because
when you say our manifest, yes, the OData manifest is XML, but if we added the index.json file, would not the new client look at the new JSON file instead of the old manifest? Well, it will. That's maybe we should just try that.
Yeah, that's a reasonable thing to try.
I can ask also. Let me ask them. I will ask Justin.
That'd be great.
Okay. Justin knows everything.
Other than that, the whole thing is working. So it's fine now if you install it from a local nupkeg. Works fine.
So which means you could, if you wanted, with your version, use an official NuGet gallery to host your modules, which is a nice feature. Which is a nice feature because people ask that. They want their own private company-wide module library. Okay, that's good. Great.
I'll publish the branch so we can work on it together.
Okay. Dynamic compilation next week. Who cares?
Every Orchard developer cares.
For sure. But next week.
Let's make dynamic compilation great again. maybe on Thursday.
If you want, I'll be there.
Okay, me too.
Good.
Alternate dynamic compilation.
Oh no, fixed because it doesn't work on dev.
So who wants to do some Orchard 2 module? I have lots of modules to do. And it's very fast. Look at that. Look at that. You need a few days to do widgets, to do flows, to do modules. That's very easy. Do that. It's beautiful. It's fast. And we're even on time for the schedule. Look at that. April, 3 modules, peanuts. They are not easy modules though, so we'll see.
Even projections. That's
oh my god, I'm not even sure how to do that. I have a design though. So I have a design for that. I want also to simplify this thing. This thing should be the same, but simpler. It will be great. And oh my god, it will be so easy to do. Everything else is just ports, and this thing will take a day. This thing will take a day. This thing won't take a day. It should be glimpse, peanuts for Nick. That will be.
Glimpse.
We are almost there. Almost there. Look at that. We are almost there.
Well, Glimpse. The Glimpse guys just released the latest code, so I'll try it out once my stuff works.
I had a meeting with them.
Okay, and what was said?
Nothing.
Or do you want to tell me later?
No, it's NDA. You can't know. You know what? You can't. No, nothing. They just released the things that you saw. That's it.
Okay.
Tell
me after.
No, I can't. I have nothing to tell you, and I won't tell you anything.
I will make up some.
You know me better. So taxonomies.
Sebastian, why do you still pretend like anything is a secret within Microsoft? Everything is in GitHub these days, anyway.
No, that's just a joke. Everything that we want, that you can see, is in GitHub. Everything else is not in GitHub. That will be known. No? They will have public meetings and ask you what you think about things and take your feedback into account. No, like Orchard.
Yeah.
It's not open source. It's just public source.
So there are still some secret repos in Microsoft somewhere.
Yeah. No. So. Yeah, taxonomies, media library operation. Once we have that, we can do websites. Because we can do projections, we have media management. Taxonomies is bonus, but yeah, we can do things. We don't need all of these, agreed, to do websites.
Is email built into .NET Core?
Yes, I've seen some packages doing SMTP. And I've used them actually. I've used them when I tested identity when it has to send a confirmation email. It worked.
And when is .NET Standard 2 out?
We don't know. If you looked at the ASP.NET Live meeting this morning, Damian said we are actively working on shipping VS 2017 and then focusing on .NET 2. But he said .NET Standard 2 was already almost done. That's what he said.
Cool. All right, cool.
Questions? Thanks everyone. Thank you for staying even that late. And see you on Thursday or next Tuesday.